everyone, Hannah Brady here from the College Fix. Today we'll get to speak to Sabrina Steffans, high school senior who wanted to paint her parking spot a Christian design but actually got turned down from her high school in upstate New York. Instead of backing down, she actually stood up to her high school and fought up against them. She sought legal help from First Liberty, which is a nonprofit legal organization that advocates for Christians all around America. Together, Sabrina and her attorney Keisha fought against this case and they actually won. She was able to paint her parking spot the way that she wanted, and we'll actually get to talk to them now. Well, we're really excited to hear from both of you, and thank you so much for your time. But Sabrina, we'll start with you. This is such an impactful story, and obviously it just had a huge impact on your life. So I'd love to start by talking about the parking spot. So your design, what did that mean to you, and why did you choose that specific design?
Well, the first design I chose because there's a mountain called Salvation Mountain, and I really wanted that to like inspire my drawing because it's basically like a mountain that's like about like Christianity and stuff, and I just thought it'd be like a great example to show my faith in a way.
So obviously your school had a response to this mountain that you drew on your parking spot. So how did this feel for you walking into school after they responded negatively to something that really does mean a lot to you?
Well, actually, my school starts tomorrow, but today we had senior sunrise, and actually I got like a lot of comments from students and stuff. They're very supportive actually, and they were pretty shocked about how the school responded as well. So, yeah, I guess they were kind of on my side, which was very relieving because I didn't know if I was gonna get like hate or like I didn't know what I was gonna
Well,
expect.
good. I'm so glad that you have so many people on your side. So were you the only one that this happened to, or did any other students run into the same issue when they wanted to get their design approved?
I'm not sure about this year, but last year they told me that a lot of them had to get turned down as well, like religious things as well, is what the school told me that they turned down as well. So I know it wasn't only me.
It definitely is incredible that you stood up for your religious rights. So why'd you do this? Why not just give in?
Because, well, I handed in three applications, and the first one I was a little bit more like understanding because there was a lot of religious stuff, and I didn't think they were gonna turn it. I knew they were gonna turn it down, and then the second one it wasn't as religious, so that is where I knew like, okay, let's do something about this because they didn't allow any religious things, and my faith is very important to me, so I just really wanted it to like be known.
Sabrina, you talk about your faith being so important to you. How did this impact your faith, and how did your faith inform your decision to move forward with this spot?
Um, it was just like a really big impact, honestly. Like I got to see how God moved in other people by doing this spot and seeing how other people have been like searching up Bible verses and the Bible verses I used on social media and seeing how many like even atheists like responding in like a loving way and realizing that like this isn't only just for me, this is for others as well to know that like we can go out there and spread our faith and like how impactful it is for other people.
Wow, that's really incredible, and just so cool to see how this isn't just an event that impacts you, but it impacts so many other people. So that's wonderful. And one more question for you, Sabrina. So in the Fox interview, you talked about how you assumed that your design would get turned down because of your school's reaction to some behaviors of your club and some things that you wanted approved. So what made you want to go through with this design even when you assumed that it might get turned down?
Well, I did get turned down, yeah. So I run a Bible club, and a lot of things got turned down in my Bible club, and I was just kind of tired of like getting tired, like getting everything turned down and not being able to show like my true self, which is like my relationship with God and my identity in Christ. So that really made me want to push forward, and just trusting God really made me want to push forward as well throughout this whole thing, which has been really crazy and like it's been amazing to see how impactful it has been for me and other people overall.
So cool how many people you've already impacted by your bravery and by your strength. And Keisha, will go to you next. So when you heard about this for the first time, what made it an obvious First Amendment case for you?
I was a teacher before I became a lawyer, and I became a lawyer really once I started working at First Liberty. My expertise became education and representing students and teachers, and it's just such a passion for me. So seeing it, it was pretty obvious because the students are allowed to choose their own private speech, and it's not fair for the school to say, well, everyone else can choose what they want, but you can't choose what you want because it's religious. That's called viewpoint discrimination under the free speech clause. And also the free exercise clause protects what Sabrina wants to do as well. So there were a lot of issues here. I think a lot of people ask, well, does the school have any discretion? Of course, if it was violent or it was extremely disruptive or something like that, then obviously the school could step in. But they can't just ban Sabrina's message because it's religious. That's actually a violation of the Constitution and results in religious hostility. So it was an easy case to know I wanted to take immediately because I really wanted to help Sabrina. And I knew it would impact a lot of people to see what she's going through and that she's willing to stand up for herself so they can too.
I heard that the school said that if she went ahead and painted this parking spot, that it would be a violation of separation of church and state. They even went so far to say that one might be able to paint a satanic parking spot. So, what's your argument against this? How far do you think that it extends?
Well, the First Amendment applies to everybody. The Constitution applies to all Americans. You know, the Free Exercise Clause applies to all religions. Now, that doesn't mean, like I said, that somebody could paint anything on their spot, but you certainly can't ban speech just because it's religious. And in Sabrina's case, there's no reason to ban the scriptures, there's no reason to ban the content that she chose. It's very benign. There's nothing wrong with it. And so, for us, it's I think, an easy decision, an easy case. And thankfully, we're able to solve it without litigation. But we certainly would have been willing to do that if the school doubled down on us.
So, do you see this being common? Is this something you see often in a high school setting?
Yes. Um, my youngest client was 13.
Wow.
And she was disciplined, her and a group of her friends, for praying in the cafeteria. She was one of the first students ever represented. And it was in Texas too. A lot of people would think, when it's a state like that, you wouldn't have those issues, but they really happen everywhere. Um, I represented students with Bible clubs too, so be sure that we will be paying attention to Sabrina's Bible Club from now on to make sure that it's treated the way it's supposed to be. And we represent teachers. We're representing a teacher right now, Marisol Castro. She was booted out of the classroom for keeping a crucifix in her personal desk space, where you keep your family pictures and everything. So we're working to get her back in the classroom and waiting on a decision from a judge. So a lot going on in our space, and many of our cases are related to education for sure.
Looking at our climate of where we are now, do you think we're in a more hostile environment for Christians? And what do you think that change can be attributed to?
Well, yeah, I think we are. I mean, I started doing this job maybe almost a decade ago, and I think people's religious hostility is a lot more blatant, a lot more on display, and certainly during 2020, things were obviously very uh, hostile and tense in our culture, and there started to be a pretty huge separation, I think, between Christianity, those who believe in the Bible, and those who don't, and also this pressure to conform. And I think it's most evident in schools because I think what's happened is a lot of people on the left have really understood that if you get the children and you get them young, then it's much easier to ensure that they believe what you want them to believe.
Well, you're representing so many people who, want their rights and want to be able to practice Christianity without getting persecuted against. Do you see this trending in a positive direction by addressing all these cases?
I do. The greatest impact, other than, of course, the legal change, to the landscape. Some of our Supreme Court cases obviously changed the law for everyone in America, which is awesome. But also the people who see people like Sabrina standing up, or Coach Kennedy, or Marisol Castro, and they see them standing up and they say, oh, I really do have the right to be a Christian. I really do have the right to say what I believe. And not only are we teaching the law to them, but we're giving them the inspiration and the encouragement to stick up for themselves.
What's your advice? What do you say to those who are watching who might be struggling with something similar to Sabrina?
Well, definitely give First Liberty a buzz. Go to firstliberty.org, let us know what you're experiencing, and we can look into it and maybe help. I think the main thing is that people really need to be bold about their faith, because people who are not bold about their faith, people who despise religion or even Christianity, they're pretty bold about it. They're not ashamed. And so we should be unashamed of Christ. We should be unashamed of our beliefs. And it's one of the reasons why I work at First Liberty. It's just amazing to, make a way for those who are advancing the gospel like Sabrina.
Be bold. That's wonderful advice. And we do thank you for your work because, like we've talked about, it impacts so many people. Sabrina, a few more questions for you. So you're a high school senior. You have your senior homecoming. You're applying to colleges. Talked about Senior Sunrise this morning. And at the same time, you're dealing with a case and your religious beliefs. So how does this impact your senior year?
Honestly, I think it's going to impact it in a pretty interesting way. I'm excited to see how God moves through this and see how God impacts it, especially our Bible club and just more religious stuff going on the way. But all I can do is just trust God and trust His plan for my life and see where it takes me this senior year.
What do you say? What's your message to those who are watching? Maybe a high school Christian, maybe someone who's a senior just like you, who's having their religious beliefs challenged. What would you say to them?
That just because you're young and you're maybe not as knowledgeable as teachers, you can still make change in your school, around your household, like anywhere. You just have to trust God and remember that God has a plan for you and it's all going to work out and to glorify Him at the end of the day. Like, there's been so much going on this week, but it's all been so amazing to see how God's worked through it. And it's just been amazing. So just trusting God and just having that bravery with you while going through change.
I know you've touched so many people and your bravery is very evident. So thank you so much for this and just for your encouragement, and Keisha for working on this case. It's admired by a lot of people. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you for covering the story. We
Thank you.
appreciate you telling it.
What a wonderful victory for Sabrina and for First Amendment rights as a whole. If you know anyone who's also had their First Amendment rights violated, let us know in the comments below. We would love to tell their story. I'm Hannah Brady with the College Fix. Make sure to like and subscribe below so you can hear more stories just like this one. We'll see you next time.